Well, a very good afternoon to you. This 25th day of June 2020. You're watching NTV at 1. My name is Zainab Ismail, and there's a lot happening in the court today, where Sirisia Member of Parliament John Waluke is this afternoon expected to know his fate after he was found guilty of defrauding the government over 300 million shillings in a fake maize tender. The legislator will be sentenced by the Anti-Corruption Court in a landmark case that could see him lose his seat in Parliament. Waluke was found guilty alongside Grace Wahungu, mother of former Environment Cabinet Secretary Judy Wahungu, who was a co-director of the Erad Suppliers and General Contracts Limited, alongside the late businessman Jacob Juma. And we're now joined by reporter Silas Apollo for more details on that sentencing. Silas, what do we expect?
Yes, Zainab, this is a scandal that began sometime in 2004 when the national government declared famine in the country. There's a crisis, a food shortage in the country. And so the National Cereals and Produce Board was tasked with the responsibility of coming in and averting the shortage of maize that was in the country. The government had said that there was a deficit of about 6 million bags of maize. So the National Cereals and Produce Board was supposed to supply some 3 million bags of maize, while the other 3 million was tasked to the private sector. So this is where Erad Supplies Company came in. The directors of the company then were current Sirisia MP John Waluke, other of our former CS of Environment Grace Wahungu, as well as the late businessman Jacob Juma. And so what was required was that they won the tender, which was a supply of the 3 million bags of maize by the National Cereals and Produce Board. Apparently, according to documents that have been tabled in court, was that these bags of maize were not supplied, and so Erad Supplies Company then moved to a tribunal to demand that the National Cereals and Produce Boards to pay them money. Then the National Cereals and Produce Board paid them around some 300 million shillings. Of these 300 million shillings, they went back and demanded for further 264 million shillings. And it is then that the National Cereals and Produce Board moved to court to challenge the complaint that had been lodged by Erad Supplies Company. And that is when the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission moved in and started investigating the matter. This is a matter that had been investigated. Of course, the case was lodged in court by the EACC in 2018. And that is when the investigations into the matter started. Of course, Sirisia MP was the key suspect. He was the co-director of the Erad Supplies Company. This is a case that has been ongoing. Of course, the EACC has spoken about it already. It says that the fact that the court found Ms. Waluke responsible, culpable, alongside the co-directors of the company, meant that it is a win in the fight against corruption. There's been a lot of concerns in terms of tenderpreneurs and cartels in the country cashing in the shortages that have been experienced in the country. And it's not only in the maize scandal, of course, Zainab. There's also, we witnessed some of this and the shortage of sugar in the country and all that. And so this afternoon, the judge is expected to give a ruling in terms of how much sentencing is going to be given to Waluke. I remember the Anti-Corruption Crimes Act stipulates that such a crime would attract a maximum of 10-year jail time or a fine of 1 million shillings. So what we expected today is we're going to expect the judge, of course, to give us what exactly is going to be the sentencing that is given to Mr. Waluke. We also expect to see what this is going to pan out in terms of the seat of Waluke in Parliament. Remember, a member of parliament is culpable, of course, is expected to could lose a seat in parliament if he's jailed for more than 6 months. So these are some of the interesting things that we expect today. The big thing in the afternoon is going to be the sentencing. So we'll be keeping tabs just to see what is happening. But for now, back to you, Zainab.
All right, thanks, Silas Apollo. They're keeping tabs with that development. Then, of course, waited with bated breath. And also one name that definitely has featured for a very long time with regards to this particular case is that of Jacob Juma, who was murdered in 2016. Will be very interesting to hear what will happen. Now, this afternoon as well, session of the Nairobi County Assembly promises to be an interesting one, as competing interests over the passage passage of the 2020-2021 budget are expected to play out. Factions allied to Governor Mike Sonko and those allied to Speaker Beatrice Elachi are fighting over a 26 billion bill allocated to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Whereas Governor Sonko wants half the amount, the faction allied to Speaker Elachi wanted the whole 26 billion forwarded to NMS, arguing their work is sin. Our NTV's senior political affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi is now joining us live from Nairobi County Assembly with more details on the latest development on the same. Mureithi?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Zainab. And rightly, as you have said, we've been seeing a number of members of the County Assembly trooping into the Assembly. But also one thing that we've been able to notice is that there is a certain faction that is not being allowed within the precincts of that particular parliament. And what we've been noticing is that those who are allied to Governor Mike Sonko are coming to the gate and they are not being allowed inside that particular gate. I do not know whether it is by right or by default, but that is what some of them are even telling us. But what we do know is that there was a scuffle as early as 5 o'clock this morning as some of them tried to gain entry, and this faction was led by ousted majority leader, that is Abdi Guyo. When they came in, they were saying that they do have a letter from the Jubilee Party that reinstated him as the majority leader, and they had all the right to gain entrance and actually go into the office of majority leader and occupy it. But that is the kind of politics that is actually going on. But we do understand the other faction that is led by Speaker Beatrice Elachi was here, and actually when they got wind that there's a probability of Guyo and his team coming in today morning, what they did is that they came in and actually slept in the office. Some of them, including one of the nominated members of the County Assembly, we've seen them trying to leave a few minutes from now just to go freshen up so that when they will be coming in for the afternoon session, it is quite another bill. But what we have been able to also establish, Zainab, is the fact that there are conflicting information with regards to what is particularly happening. The side that is allied to Governor Mike Sonko is insistently saying that whatever is happening is only about leadership wrangles, and that is what they're trying to deny Abdi Guyo from gaining entrance and taking over his seat despite reinstatement from the political party. But the other side insistently says that this is all about the budget and what has been happening. You know, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services has been a point of departure for the Nairobi County Assembly led by Beatrice Elachi and also Governor Mike Sonko. Just the other day, we saw the courts trying to say that they have to regularize some of the things that were in the NMS as they declared some sections of those unimplementable. So we do not know what the real truth is. But if it is all about the budget, then it is going to come out this afternoon, because there is a claim that probably that money, there are those who want that money split into half. It is about 26 billion. They are saying that Governor Mike Sonko wants the 13 billion so that they can continue with operations of the Nairobi County government. But they also saying that the NMS should get the other 13 billion shillings. So it is a circle in a winding gyre as it is right now. But we want to establish the truth when this assembly rises at 2:30 o'clock, and we will see what the truth of the status is going to be, whether the members who are allied to Governor Mike Sonko are going to even be allowed into this particular premises. So we are keeping a keen eye on what is happening. There was scuffles, there are even youth who are coming outside here. There are even claims of vigilante that are being used to actually stop even some of the members from coming here. But whether it is going to go down as they have been saying, it is only a matter that we can wait. Back to you, Zainab.
All right, Kennedy Mureithi, there, our political affairs reporter, keeping tabs as well with what is happening at City Hall. Now, yet a fierce fire at the Gikomba area razed down businesses, destroying property and goods of unknown value. The Interior Principal Secretary, Karanja Kibicho, together with the Nairobi Metropolitan Service Director General Major Mohammed Badi, have visited the scene of the dawn, and our reporter Gina Kirori is currently there. We will be joining her in just a moment to get more details of the situation on ground. Meanwhile, Kitengela residents have demolished a controversial 9 million shillings bridge that started to buckle just 2 days after completion. The residents accused the contractor of using substandard building materials and covering the bridge with cotton soil over a thin layer of concrete and weak metal bars. Kajiado County CECM in charge of roads, Alex Kilowa, however, said the contractor in charge of the bridge that connects the populous Nonkopir Township and Kitengela Town was fired a week ago after members of the public raised concern.
Hii barabara inatoka hapa kwenda mpaka nyuma ya prison huko Nonkopir. Sasa hii ni milioni 9 imetumika hapa. Kitu imetengenezwa na siku 2 imeenda. Ndio hii inabomoka leo. MCA anatudanganya hapa tunyamaze. Tunanyamazia nini?
Contractor ambaye alipewa hii kazi anaitwa Jesome. Na ule mtu ambaye akasabu contract mtu ambaye hajui kazi. Ile shida kubwa sana ni contractor hana pesa na akasabu contract mtu hana pesa.
Kufikia wiki moja hii kazi itasimama. Leo ni Alhamisi. Kufikia Alhamisi ile ijayo tutapata mtu mpya mwenye ataendelea na kandarasi hii. Huyu mwenye amefanya kazi mbaya atapotea. Hiyo nimetoa hiyo hakikisho.
Now, former Deputy Director of the Kenya School of Law, Professor Maurice Kiwinda, and 11 others denied charges of fraud over the loss of 198 million shillings at the institution. They face 21 counts of fraud, including conspiracy, stealing public property, and making a false representation that resulted in the loss of funds. The prosecution charged that the accused, through their companies, received the millions for services they never rendered to the Kenya School of Law.
Particulars are in Nairobi City County within the Republic of Kenya, being the deputy.
And more than 60 people were arrested on Wednesday for allegedly bribing police officers manning a roadblock in Thika. The suspects were traveling from Nairobi metropolitan area, which is currently under containment, to Murang'a County. Take a look.
According to Murang'a County Police Commander Josephat Kinyua, the suspects are traveling to different parts from Nairobi.
Wengi wao wanaenda Nyeri, wanaenda Meru, wanaenda Isiolo, wanaenda Muyale. Kwa hivyo tumeweza kunasa magari 16. Tumeweza kufanya mabadiliko kadha wa kadha katika vizuizi zetu katika area hii, kwa sababu vizuizi hata katika vitongoji ile ambayo ni panya route.
The roadblock has been on the limelight for allowing commuters to access or leave the Nairobi metropolitan area, which has been under containment for the past 2 months.
Tunajaribu njia zozote zile ambao tukipata ripoti watu wanapitia panya route, na watu kama hawa ambayo wanatumia mbinu ya kutumia taksi kuelekea maeneo nyingine, tunahakikisha ya kwamba tumewapeleka kotini na kuna wale tunaweza kurudisha mahali wanatoka.
The police and the Department of Public Health are working together to ensure minimal movement of people past the roadblock.
Nilikuwa natoka Kahawa nikiingia Thika nikakosea barabara nikapita hivi. Nikakosea tu kidogo.
Sasa vyenye nilimaliziwa nikirudi ndio nikakuta nilikuwa natoka Nairobi nikielekea na Rumoru kwenda Misiri.
The suspects were taken to Samuru police station and will be arraigned at the Kandara Law Court. Martin Mora, NTV.
Now, police in Taita Taveta are raising alarm over the growing number of motorcycle accidents. The police, together with registered border operators, have pointed an accusing finger to unlicensed riders, most of whom are school-going children. Our correspondent Bill Ocheno has the details.
Bodabodas, as they are commonly known, have become key part in the transportation sector. They provide cheaper means of transport across the country, but cheap can ultimately be very expensive. Some of the riders could actually be underage, out looking for quick money. With school closed due to COVID-19 pandemic, the idle children have resorted to ferrying passengers on the motorbikes.
The issue of very young boys and some girls taking it upon themselves to do boda business is an issue of concern, and this is something which has uniquely come up due to the COVID-19 pandemic that has rendered most of the students, all the students in fact, home. And some of them probably, maybe with or without the knowledge of their parents, have resorted to driving bodabodas.
Kwanza ninaomba wazazi wote kwa kipindi hiki cha corona ambayo shule zimefungwa wahakikishe wanajua watoto wao wako wapi na ni nini wanafanya, sababu ni sekta ambayo imeingiliwa sana na vijana.
The police say apart from the minors, there are still unlicensed riders.
And I also like to make an appeal to members of the public. Please look at the person who is taking you home or taking you to work or taking you to the market. If you see this is a child, please don't board that motorcycle.
These are just some of the motorbikes used by unqualified riders, whom majorities are the minors, and it leaves me with questions: why are the motorbike owners allowing minors to operate with them, and why are the parents tolerating the act? Bill Otieno, NTV, in the county of Taita Taveta.
Now, work on the Thwake Dam project in Athi River is 5% behind schedule after the reduction of staff due to COVID-19. Speaking during an inspection tour of the project, the Water Cabinet Secretary Cicely Kariuki assured that they had entered into talks with consultants to mitigate the job loss issue. The project is set to provide water to 1.3 million people and support 40,000 hectares of land with water for irrigation. It will also help in controlling flooding in the area and generate additional power into the national grid. 25 residents in the area will also be compensated due to the ongoing construction. The project began in 2018 and is set to be completed in 2022. The CS further condemned the rampant pollution of various water bodies in the country.
Because the law is clear, let's not pollute water sources, let's not pollute water bodies. It is careless, it is illegal, it is also criminal.
All right, and on that note, let's take a very quick break here on NTV at 1. We still have a lot more we've lined up for you. Stay with us.
Sonadol Extra imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli kupambana haraka na maumivu ya kichwa, mwili na hata meno. Sonadol Extra, hakika maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Who wants to answer? Mary?
Mary has a toothache.
Oh, I see. And who knows why?
Because her tooth is too big.
No, it might be a hole in her tooth called a cavity. That's why I brush twice a day using Colgate.
Imagine this is your tooth and these are food acids that cause cavities. Colgate with calcium and fluoride helps prevent cavities.
Who protects our teeth?
For maximum cavity protection.
Rashes again? Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
Jana ulipotea hivyo baada ya kupepa ule mtemu kwa potapota ukaenda hivi. Unajua huyo mrembo alinipeleka hadi kwa nyumba. Nikasema mimi siedi kugulalisha masikio. Shughuli.
Jawa, mbona mjipendi?
Kwa nini?
Yaani unawezaje patana tu na mtu kwa street alafu uende ukachapiane na yeye?
Kalishizo mashine.
Ulitumia raba
Kwani bado mnatumia raba?
Okay, ngoja niulize jamaa. Nani hapa hivi amepimwa hivi majuzi?
Pale kwa Mwangi, si ni 10 bob.
Sijasema kupimwa weight. Saa hizi kupimwa HIV ni haraka na ni bure. Unaweza pimwa kwa clinic na bado unaweza jipimia kwa nyumba yako wewe mwenyewe na self test kit 500 peke yake.
Niende nipimwe, nichipate niko positive. Unajua hakuna kitu naogopa kama hiyo.
Kuko na madawa na kuko na counseling na utaishi maisha yako normal tu. Kuko na HIV si eti ni mwisho.
Wewe uko nayo?
Mimi nilishapima.
Unapoendelea kujikinga kutokana na HIV, tafadhali zingatia taratibu zote za serikali za kujikinga na virusi vya korona.
Afya bora, maisha bora. Jipime, jiinue.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching NTV at 1. Now, cane farmers have welcomed the gazettement of the Crops General Regulation 2020. The Act supports the introduction of contractual farming in a bid to promote free market of the primary raw material of sugar. and build confidence among thousands of growers who abandoned the crop. The gazettement in May has gotten positive response from sugarcane stakeholders across the sugar belt. The farmers support the setting up of a pricing committee that will give farmers a say in the establishment of cane prices, which initially was dominated by millers. They also say that the new regulation will promote competition and encourage private millers to set up weighbridges near their farms and greatly reduce the cost of transporting the canes. The farmers are, however, calling on the government to pump in more money to pay farmers' arrears.
We said no zoning, no zoning. And he has listened and he has gazetted the regulations which have done away with zoning. So the millers are now free to come in to partner with the farmers and lift our cane.
Napongeza hii maneno ya kusema ya kwamba tuwe na soko huru ya kuuza miwa. Sababu tukiwa na soko huru, kila mtu atakuwa free kuuza miwa yake penye anataka. Hii hapo mtu hata kuwa na uzito ama hata kuwa na unyanyasaji wa miwa.
Right now our children can go to school. We can pay school fee. But go to Moroni. They took some cane in the month of October last month.
Now, the Ministry of Agriculture is set to roll out the 1 million kitchen garden campaign in an effort to boost immunity in the Kenyan people during the COVID-19 period. The campaign will be spearheaded by the Ministry of Agriculture as they seek to ensure availability of vegetables, fruits and herbs to enhance proper nutrition in over 1 million households across the country through the use of kitchen gardens. The pilot phase of the campaign will begin with 15,000 farmers across 45 counties who will act as peer educators. The farmers will play a crucial role in educating community members on technology to produce, prepare and preserve green leafy vegetables in a bid to boost household immunity during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Of 23 members, and we are very impressed to see that every member has a home garden back at home, and it's not only consisting of vegetables, but it consists of 5 types of vegetables. It also consists of poultry, and also we are saying we also need to incorporate what you're calling the fish and other subsectors so that we can be able to have a more balanced diet.
As Makueni County, we are proud to host yet again this national launch. And we promise to cooperate so that as one of the counties where this project is domiciled, we will assist to make sure that the people that are identified are not only doing kitchen gardens for themselves, but with time they become, as a pilot, they are able to teach others.
Well, the COVID-19 pandemic has encouraged innovation in the corporate world, with people shunning hospitals due to perceived challenges. Britam has launched telehealth services dubbed Afya Mikononi, with an aim of providing its clients with remote healthcare during the COVID-19 pandemic. The telehealthcare services encourages the public to follow the government directives on social distancing and staying at home. The service is accessible to existing microinsurance and corporate medical covered customers on outpatient basis. And cooperatives have joined other well-wishers in extending a helping hand to those affected by COVID-19 by contributing funds to support the vulnerable. Cooperative societies have formed a corona response team to respond to issues affecting the industry and other vulnerable members whose businesses have been highly affected. Speaking while launching instant card service for Harambee Sacco, which has been enabled by the Cooperative Bank, the PS4 for Cooperatives Ali Noor Ismail urged cooperatives to continue reaching out to the affected.
Thank you.
Some music.
And a family in South Sea Estate in Nairobi is searching for their loved one who has gone missing for more than 10 days. The 51-year-old Jane Waruguru is said to have left her home on the 15th of June this year. She was last seen wearing blue jeans, a grey sweater, a dark scarf on her head. She was carrying a black handbag. She speaks Swahili, English and Kikuyu languages. The matter has been reported at the Langata police station and her search is ongoing. Now, any information on her whereabouts can be reported to the nearest police station or call this number 0725 583 084. Let me repeat that again, 0725 583 084. Any information on her whereabouts will be much appreciated. Now, Africa's first COVID-19 vaccine trial has begun in South Africa, where the country set out to target about 2,000 people with a vaccine. The vaccine developed by the Oxford Jenner Institute is already under evaluation in Britain and will also target 50 people living with HIV. The large-scale trial is being conducted in South Africa, Britain and Brazil.
South Africa recorded its highest death toll in a single day on Tuesday. 111 people died from COVID-19 related complications. South Africa has nearly one-third of Africa's confirmed cases, with more than 106,000, including more than 2,100 deaths. This week, about 2,000 volunteers have taken part in the first COVID-19 vaccine trial on the African continent at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital in Soweto, South Africa.
I feel a little bit scared, but I want to know what's going on with this vaccine so that I can tell my friends and others what's going on in this time.
What's going to happen is that these 8 participants form part of what is known as Group 1, which is a group where it's a small group of 50 individuals where we're trying to understand 2 important issues. The first issue is the safety of the vaccine, especially in terms of what would be common side effects, and the second issue is how well the body mounts an immune response against the vaccine.
World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom urged the initial supply of any COVID-19 vaccine be deployed where it's most needed, rather than based on the ability to pay. Tedros also announced that as of this week, all 54 of Africa's countries now have the lab capacity to test for the coronavirus. In February, just 2 African nations could test for the virus. The continent's first virus case was reported on February the 14th. Scientists from the Witwatersrand University say that they have begun screening participants for the South Africa Oxford 1 COVID-19 vaccine trial last week.
Once there's about 60% of the population that have developed immunity, we expect that effective reproductive rate to drop to under 1. It doesn't mean the virus is going to go away. But once there's 60% of the population, especially the adult population, that becomes immune, we expect that effective reproductive rate to go to under 1, which basically means the virus will still be around, it will still circulate, but its chain of transmission has been interrupted.
South Africa implemented a strict nationwide lockdown on March 27th, but confinement measures are being gradually phased out to allow businesses to pick up and limit damage to an already ailing economy.
Elsewhere, results of the fresh presidential election in Malawi have started arriving at the National Tallying Center, albeit under heavy military security. The country's electoral commission appealed for calm on Wednesday as it tallied ballots. This is following a historic poll to re-elect a president after Peter Mutharika's victory was overturned. The Constitutional Court dramatically ruled that last year's polls were fraught with grave and widespread irregularities, which included the use of correction fluid on the ballot papers. The results are expected to be received by Thursday afternoon. All right, let's now take a look at stories making headlines in the world of sports, and Watson Karuma is here for that. Watson?
Well, thank you very much, Zainab. And it's been quite a long time since I was on the sports desk. But hey, I started off with some bad news where New York's famed marathon planned for the 1st of November has been cancelled due to the coronavirus pandemic, according to the organizers. The head of the New York Road Runners organization, that is Michael Capiraso, termed the cancellation as incredibly disappointing. The world's largest marathon, New York's race, was set to celebrate its 50th anniversary in 2020. More than 53,000 runners finished the race last year, with Kenya's Joycelyn Jepkosgei and Geoffrey Kamoro leading the way to victory. Those registered for the 2020 edition will have refund options, or they can defer entry to races in the next 3 years. The decision comes weeks after Boston cancelled its marathon for the first time in the event's 124-year history. The Berlin Marathon, another major race, was also cancelled in a bid to halt the spread of COVID-19. The London Marathon has been postponed to October 4th, while the Tokyo Marathon was held with a reduced field of elite runners. The Chicago Marathon is still scheduled for the 11th of October. Now, Liverpool will be crowned English Premier League champions for the first time